Hey again, everyone. Welcome to the Wrestling Inc. podcast. We got a special Saturday night podcast here tonight. We had New Japan Pro Wrestling Dominion early this morning. UFC 225 tonight with CM Punk's return fight. It's been a busy weekend. Matt, how are you doing?
Doing good until this damn UFC pay-per-view took 10,000 hours to get over with.
It was all decisions. Until that last fight, I'll admit I thought it kind of sucked. Chris, what were your thoughts?
It was okay. I think the Kobe Covington fight, that was a drag. So, but I think it bookended well. The first and the last fight. The last fight was good. The first fight was worth talking about. So,
right, it was newsworthy. The crowd was into it. I mean, the crowd was hotter for CM Punk than any other person on the show. It felt like. Right. But yeah, he was clearly out of his league. So I know most people are probably here for the CM Punk stuff. So let's quickly go over UFC 225, talk about the main event. And Chris, why don't you take it from here, going over UFC 225?
Well, you first had CM Punk against Mike Jackson. And, both 0-1, both lost to Mickey Gall in the first round with their other, UFC fights. Jackson was 4-0 as a boxer. So that's basically where he's coming from, his boxing background, Golden Gloves champ in 2011, I believe. And that's basically was his arsenal. CM Punk had some training in Wisconsin. That's really about it.
What the hell was it? I didn't know Homeboy. I watched the whole fight. I must have missed it. I did not know he was a former Golden Gloves champion.
Yeah, he's an undefeated boxer.
What the freak was he thinking?
Yeah. So
I wonder why he was getting pegged.
Yeah. Yep.
Exactly. It sucked having to watch. I don't know whether you guys noticed this or not, but he looked softer. Punk did. His build.
Goodness, yes.
He looked softer tonight than he did in his first fight. His first fight, he was very tight. He was very tight. I don't even want to say muscular, but he was tight. Tonight, he had a little bit of that skinny fat stuff going on again. And I don't know. I love the guy. I'm a huge fan of his. I was obviously, like everybody else, I wanted to see him do well. But after that, people keep saying, after the first round, it was all downhill. But I think it was like, even when he made that takedown, it wasn't looking good. He couldn't even hold his arm. He couldn't even hold a body part down. Do you know what I mean? He just looked really physically weak. He didn't look like he had any strength to him. Like, I don't know. That's all I can remember.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that was an adrenaline dump too, because he looked pretty good that first round. I wouldn't say good, but he was doing well. Like, I almost thought he won that first round. I thought that first round was pretty close.
They were definitely looking to give it to him.
Yeah, but all the judges scored it unanimously. But I thought he was doing all right, and then he just got destroyed. I mean, he just looked way out of his element, and I think this is the problem sometimes when you get someone that shouldn't be in there. You can make a lot of money, but he could have gotten seriously hurt, and he got taken to the hospital. He's getting a CT scan, facial CT scan. So. I mean, he got jacked from Mike Jackson, who's 0-1, was just, he was beaten by Mickey Gall quicker than CM Punk was. So out of his league, I was pulling for Punk. I try to stay impartial with these things, but I was pulling for Punk, man. The last couple weeks that he's had, the last 4 years with this lawsuit, and it just felt like it would have been a nice story.
Well, I'm a big critic of CM Punk, but I have been for years. But the thing is I even found myself like in the first round pulling for Punk, and that's big for me, And I was just he looked more. I mean, here's the thing. To your point, Raj, he looked more aggressive in the first round. That's one thing I did notice. But at the end of the day, I mean, here's the thing. It's a cash grab. I mean, and that's the reason why the reason why he was in the first UFC. Both Punk and Mike Jackson do not need to step a foot in a UFC cage ever again. They both looked like amateurs. And in the next fight, Holly Holm, when she beat Megan Anderson, the ground and pound that she did I mean, it made Mike Jackson's look so embarrassing. And when he would mount him, he would do some type of swirly thing and then this strike, and it was I was getting so frustrated when I saw that. It was
that was his way of showing off.
Yeah, he was being a dick.
Like, he's showing off that this dude is
Yeah, he was like looking away, like not even looking at Punk while he was hitting him with punches, and it's like, man, you know, you're beating him, but you suck too.
You know? You're 1-1, dude. Like get over yourself, man. You know what I mean? Like it was just all bad to me. It looked so amateurish. Like that fight altogether looked so amateurish, and it was just really an embarrassment to the UFC. And hopefully Punk doesn't. I mean, if he wants to keep fighting MMA, I really hope he goes like the Bellator route or something. You know, just kind of having more fights under his belt, because you know reputation means a lot. And when you put yourself in these positions, when you are both of your fights are UFC, it kind of hurts your reputation a bunch, man. Especially for the trolls who don't want you to succeed anyway. So it was all bad for Punk to me.
He's not an MMA fighter. I mean, I think that's clear. I mean, I'm sure he could find some slobs that he could beat up, but you know, as far as real MMA fighters, he's not going to beat any of them. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
He didn't let people come in and watch his camp. He said it made him kind of nervous to have people come in and watch him while he's practicing and sparring. But yet, if you're in there and he's already practicing, it's no big deal. There was just so many arrows that I was watching throughout this week with his interviews that was screaming. He's hedging his bet, and he's showing. I felt defeat from him. I'm just being honest. I felt it right. I don't even know when. At first, I was like, "Oh crap, this trial's going to kill the guy," and then, when I saw some of his interviews after the trial, where he should be elated that he won, and now adrenaline's running. I'm focused on this fight. You would think you didn't get any of that. You got this. Hey, what's up? Yeah, and I'm supposed to be entertaining and the main draw of the show, even though I'm in the main event. But, I don't know. It was the most boring interviews. There was nothing interesting about it.
He's usually apathetic in his interviews, though. He just kind of like carefree, apathetic. He has that type of demeanor to him. Have you ever worked with Punk, Matt?
Me? Yeah. No, he came into OEW after I left WWE, but I definitely know him though. What I was gonna say but he at least would say some things with some energy though, like he complete sentences. Like he looked like he was just so defeated. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, well, I think it's also when he's in wrestling and he's talking smack, he's talking about being the best in the world. Well, he believed that he was, No,
I don't mean that way. When I mean energy, I don't mean charisma.
Right.
I mean, how do I say it? Look at his last interview he did before the fight. It was very different. He had them in their house. Mm-hmm. He had his eyes were actually opened. He didn't look like he was falling asleep. I don't know. He was just talking like the way I was just talking and imitating him. Versus he had them in their house, at his house, and he was introducing his dog, and he was just a lot more energetic about it. I wasn't saying he was charismatic and cutting promos and rhyming, but he had a little bit of vigor in his somewhat.
Yeah.
When wrestling would come up, he would say something very clear about never going back to WWE, fuck them. Something along those lines. And something with some energy is what I'm saying. I don't know. Again, just I don't know.
Yeah, it seemed like the life was sucked out of him.
No.
Corey Graves tweeted, "Don't worry. Hey, Vince McMahon, this has nothing to do with you. You either, Triple H. This isn't corporate. This is real life. Calm down, inner nerds." So basically saying that Vince and Triple H had nothing to do with CM Punk getting his ass kicked. So what does CM Punk do next? He made it clear in interviews that he's done with pro wrestling, but what else is there?
How old is he?
He's almost 40. He'll turn 40 in October.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
I can see some wrestling engagements. Now, full time, not necessarily. I don't ever see him coming to WWE again. and I've said this on my show before. The reason why I don't see him being in the WWE has nothing to do with Vince and Triple H, similar to what Corey's saying, but something different. I think that Vince and Triple H would be willing to extend the olive branch, but I don't think CM Punk will. I don't think he'll ever be okay or have a relationship where they can work together again. I don't ever see that.
I don't think he'll ever wrestle in WWE again. But Harold Meij with New Japan Wrestling, he's the president. They want to expand there. They want to expand internationally. And with CM Punk, you got a guy that you don't have to worry about WWE taking him. He'll probably stay loyal. He wouldn't turn their back, his back on New Japan with the WWE offer. So if they're really looking to expand, that would be the guy. And I would throw a ton of money, for him, because he's a difference maker. I mean, he would get a ton of attention, and he can go.
I would love to see Punk and Omega, that's for sure.
Yeah,
he even knew who Omega was. He said that in one of his interviews, so it shows he watches a little bit of wrestling.
Yeah.
He said he watches clips. But I'm sure if New Japan came with the right offer, I'm sure he'd entertain it. Yeah. I think we'll see. But he's definitely not fighting in the UFC again. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. So Holly Holm, she's won 2 out of her 3 fights. When she beat Ronda Rousey, that was how she became popular. She went on a bit of a slump. She lost to Cyborg as well. Won the bantamweight championship but lost to Cyborg. So she beat Megan Anderson. She looked really good. The first round was a bit off to me, but after that, she looked really good. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I've always liked her. I've always her pedigree is perfect. Mm-hmm. To be a successful UFC fighter. She's just a badass. She is. She might not look like one, like you saw on the street, Like Ronda looks like a badass on the street, she just does. Holly's not so much, but once she's in that cage, dude, she's a beast.
Yeah, she has a very naturally nice face. But I was kind of surprised that she won this on the ground. That was always her weak point, but she really dominated this fight on the ground. But yeah, good for her. I mean, she became a star after beating Rousey. Amanda Nunes kind of retired Rousey, but didn't really get much from it. No one cares about her fights right now, but Holly Holm, people still care about her. So she's on the right track.
Yeah. What do you think about the heavyweights between Ty and Andre, Raj?
The only thing I thought was Ty coming out to "My Heart Will Go On." That was that was all I had from this fight. Andre Arlovsky, he's been, when I started watching UFC, he was already kind of a veteran. So he's been around forever. I'm always kind of pulling for him. And there was a streak there where he was getting knocked out every fight. So it's cool seeing this latest stage of his career and that he was able to hold his own against him. But I thought it was kind of a dull fight, and I actually had Andre winning. I thought he took the second and third round, but
it's interesting because I had Ty winning the first and the third round. So I do think it was a split decision, but I think it was split between you and I. What do you have, Matt? Who won?
I can't break the tie. I didn't watch it.
Oh, so it's a tie. It's a tie, split decision. So the main event, it was very controversial. It was split decision. Robert Whittaker retained the title, the middleweight title, against Joel Romero, who didn't even make weight, which was very interesting. But it was split decision. Raj, what do you think? It's a lot of people.
Why are you surprised he didn't make weight? Isn't this the second time he didn't do it?
I think the third, maybe second or third. Yeah,
the second in a row.
Because it's a second in a row is why you're surprised, you mean?
Yeah, because I would have thought that the first time would have said, "Hey, well, you just straighten up."
Yeah. Well, it did seem kind of weird that the commission didn't give him the extra hour to lose
I thought they did.
a fifth of a pound. He was supposed to have 2 hours, and then after the first hour, they cut it off, and he was over by a fifth of a pound. So he was,
that's lame.
Yeah, exactly. And it's almost better that he didn't win, because if he did, could you imagine? He's like that 0.2 pounds. If it weren't for that 0.2 pounds, I'd be champion right now. So at least he doesn't have that in his head. I thought that fight was amazing. That third round was insane. I was kind of pulling for Yoel Romero by the end. I mean, he kind of wanted me over. He was a beast.
How does it work, guys? If the other guy won, or the other guy did win, so does he get an actual win for that because his opponent didn't make weight? How does that work?
So they agree to terms before the fight. Like, Whitaker will get a percentage of Yoel's purse, and I don't think he'll get a win bonus. But he gets his show. It counts as a win, but yeah, he doesn't get any win money. So
that sucks.
Has that ever happened where the challenger missed weight and then beat the champion? I don't think that's ever happened, right?
Not that I know of.
Didn't what's her name use? I could have sworn Cyborg. Wasn't she always overweight or no?
She's missed weight, but she was at least in UFC. I don't think it's ever happened.
No, not UFC. I was thinking back. What was the? God darn it!
Strike Force.
Yeah, wasn't it Strike Force used to come in overweight a little bit?
I'm not sure about the regulations in Strike Force compared to UFC though.
There was a WEC. Paulo Chael Sonnen beat someone when this was before it was just the lower weights.
Yeah.
And Chael Sonnen, the other guy came in way heavy, and Chael Sonnen beat him. And Chael Sonnen, he beat the champion. The champion came in heavy, and Chael Sonnen beat him and wasn't awarded the title. So that was that's like the DQ step in WWE.
That's true.
It is really.
And then Colby Covington, he won. It was a pretty close fight, but Colby is one of those guys that he just tries to me, he comes across like he's trying to act charismatic, but he's not.
Yeah. Yes.
And it just drives me nuts.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah. Just playing this part, he's like, one of these kids trying to play a heel. And he's no Conor McGregor. He's trying to be, and it's kind of irritating.
Hey, question. I saw one of the headlines. Is Conor, are they really legit thinking about having Conor come back?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Dana White would take him back in a second.
He needs him more than ever right now, sure.
They got nothing. Great. They got nothing right now.
All for it. Great.
Yeah.
They were looking for a September fight, weren't they?
So he has to get by in New York is what I heard, or something like that. He's got to pass something in New York. Is it a court case or something?
I think he's got a commission hearing from that whole bus incident that happened in April.
I know Dana said he's got to wait to hear about that first. But that's great. I mean, we need him back in the UFC, that's for sure, because no offense to anybody, the guys who fought hard, they worked hard tonight, but this is the most boring. I've only ordered this to watch Punk, and I would, no offense to the other guys in the show, I never would have bought this if Punk wasn't on it. And I watch a lot of UFC. I like to think I watch about an average amount, what an average fan would watch, I would say.
Yeah, it's like a casual, right? I think that's it's like wrestling too. If you don't have stars or people that really engage you, then you're stuck with the hardcores. And UFC is getting more and more just stuck with the hardcores.
You know what? That's a great point. I didn't get anybody there tonight. No offense again to the fighters. That's what we say to wrestlers, right? That's a good point, Raj. It's just like wrestling. I didn't see anybody that drew me back to want to see fight again. Necessarily, I would watch. I wouldn't pay to watch though. Any of them.
Yeah,
me too. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So they had an opportunity with Punk on this card to show us some different talents, maybe that maybe gets us to come back because Punk ain't coming back. So who else is going to be able to get our money?
Yeah, I wonder if they feel like Colby Covington is that guy. Cause
the way you said that to me before, I think you're right. I think that's who they're looking.
Yeah.
They didn't
because it's about it's similar to WWE. Like it's about personality nowadays. That's what draws. So back in the day, it necessarily wasn't that way, but now it's very personality based.
Bro, or a really cool like real background story about their life or what they did to get here. Like Cain Velasquez, I hate to admit this, I wanted Brock to annihilate him in the beginning, but watching what he was doing in his camp and what it was going to mean to him, his country, everyone watching from Mexico, you know what I mean? I kind of got behind him a little, you know what I mean? Like he drew me in during all of that more than
Holly Holm too. Holly Holm had.
Oh yes, I take that back. Holly too. Yeah. I wouldn't pay to watch her fight though. I gotta be honest, but I definitely would want to see her fight. Cheer her on.
You know what, too, Matt? I think it was easier to follow back in the day. All these different fighters because there weren't 10,000 events a year, you know, and all over the place, and it was hard to keep track. You had like maybe one a month on Spike TV, and you got familiar with who the big stars were, and they came across as superstars like Tito Ortiz, you know, Chuck Liddell. They come across way bigger than any of these guys that you have now. Even Rashad Evans, Forrest Griffin, all those guys.
Yep.
It was good to see Matt Hughes.
Loved Matt Hughes.
Yeah.
Real quick, UFC. Speaking of Brock Lesnar, Alistair Overeem got
destroyed.
Got clocked. Got multiple elbow shots, and then Rashad Evans. How about that?
31 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah, he was beaten. It's sad to see. Sad to see the people I kind of came up with.
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey
Rashad's lost like 5 in a row now, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think this has got to be it.
Yeah.
They announced that Ronda Rousey is going to UFC Hall of Fame, and so you know WWE they published a story on it. UFC sent us a press release. They mentioned that she's in WWE, so she'll be inducted next month. So that kind of she's going in the modern wing. They have all these different wings, and I don't know if that just keeps it open that she might come back. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Why don't they do a show for it or anything like that?
It's on UFC Fight Pass on July 5th. So it will be airing. But yeah, they don't make it a big deal like WWE. I think they could. You know, it's during the International Fight Week. There's tons of people out there. I'm sure they could sell a bunch of tickets for it, but they haven't gone that route yet. Yeah. So New Japan Dominion, what'd you guys think?
Great. I mean, it's all out. I'd be all over the place if you start, unless you give me the matches, you know. Right. But loved. I guess just talk about Jericho first. I don't know. Loved his look. He looked different. He looked a little fatter than normal, right? Yeah. But his in-ring cardio, guys, was off the chain good. Dude, I can't tell you guys how much I would have been blowed up in just the attack on the outside at the beginning of the match. Jericho put so much energy into that. So did Naito. And then, it was I don't know, 20 minutes into the match or something like that, 15, before Naito was actually in his gear finally.
Yeah, that's right.
They beat the crap out of each other in this match. Oh, my God.
It was very different. I really liked that.
That's why I liked it, man. I don't know. I kept thinking, okay, he's going to keep it similar to his fight like it was with Omega, I kept thinking.
Yeah.
And, he did lump Omega up good. He was very stiff with Omega in a good way. It was hard hitting, but this was different. I thought he brought a little bit more, Jericho did. A lot more viciousness, a lot more mean streak. I liked it. He's definitely loving being able to curse.
I know. He's saying fuckface like they're gonna put a ban on it.
I really liked Jericho and Naito. It's one of those things. Jericho's one of my top 5 of all time, and one thing I just totally respect about Chris Jericho is that you can tell that he puts so much into every single match. And it's especially nowadays. He'll be 48 years old in a few months, and it's like, it was born in 1970.
Bless him. Wow.
And it's like that's why I respect him so much, because it's not like, okay, hey, you get a call from Vince, hey, I need you to put over, Baron Corbin this week. It's his mindset is no. That's not what I'm going to do. If I don't mind putting over Corbin, but let's put some story behind it. Let's have some intrigue. Let's build it up for real. And that's what Jericho's been doing really for the past couple years, at least, especially with the Omega. And he said this in his podcast before. He said he doesn't have any desire just to walk in and be a WWE guy. I mean, he's a lifer. You know, he respects the heck out of Vince, but he just doesn't have any desire to say, hey, I'm just going to be a part of this. Give me a story behind it and have something intriguing with it. Because there's so many names that can kind of be more popular than Chris Jericho is right now. But he does such a fantastic way of reinventing himself at almost 50 years old to make people want to watch. I respect that like none other.
And I think you look at his mind right now too. Like when he has that creative freedom, he's doing stuff that's very different. And you know, you look at WWE, it's kind of formulaic, all the same right now. And Jericho's doing stuff that's, you know, it's just very different. And you could tell that he's invested in it and he's having fun.
Yeah.
So Chris, why don't we start from the beginning, and then we'll, you know, talk quickly about the undercard matches, and then we'll talk more about the top ones.
Yeah. So El Desperado and Kanemaru for Suzuki-gun, they retain the junior tag titles by beating Roppongi 3K.
Does anyone give a shit about those titles? They have way too many titles in New Japan.
Well, they do when the Bucks had them, right?
Yeah. When they would have like and Red Dragon when they had them too. I think they were big.
And
about
I
a couple of years ago.
Vice too, a little bit too, maybe.
Yeah, Roppongi Vice. When it was Roppongi Vice, Red Dragon, and the Bucks, like those three teams feuding against each other, like it was a big deal. But now I don't know. Now it's not really as big as it used to be probably 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, I just think they got too many. I mean, that one can stay, but when you got these Never titles and
I love the Never title though. One of my top 5 favorite matches of all time was for the Never title. I think it was Wrestle Kingdom 2 or 3 years ago between Tomohiro Ishii and Katsuyori Shibata. I don't know if you've seen that match yet, but oh my goodness, that match was absolutely crazy. So
yeah, but the titles itself, it doesn't really elevate anyone by winning them. They kind of stay where they are, you know.
I think the Never title does. I don't know. I don't know. I think I don't mind the titles in Japan because it's a different type of thing, and I think everybody. Daniel Bryan recently said this, like he doesn't like the old timers just saying, hey, I'm going to keep my spot. He likes feuding against Big Cass because he wants everybody to be elevated. And I kind of look at that with the titles in Japan. Like there's 6 titles, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So there's 6 titles. Well, 7, because there's the Never 6 man that probably can go away. But you know, it's, I don't know. I think Japan is one of those companies where New Japan is one of those companies where you have so many really good characters because there's different divisions that they can be good at. So that's how I look at it.
I just think if the belt doesn't do anything for anyone, then why have it?
It did it for when Suzuki had the Never title. I thought it was pretty good, and a lot of times it helps the character. Like when Goto was feuding against I think it was Naito for the Never title. It was one of those things where Goto, he was trying to get his comeuppance, and if he would just beat Naito, it would just. To me, it wouldn't be as big as if he won a title with it. So, yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying as far as just having an influx of championships. But for me, I just think that for New Japan, they're so division heavy as opposed to WWE.
That's true.
I think that element makes it work for me.
But didn't they just introduce like Omega's title too? The US.
Yeah,
the U.S. Jay White has it. Yeah,
I mean, there is a lot though. I don't know.
It's hard to keep track. That's what happened to UFC when they started adding all these different weight classes. And back in the day, you used to be able to name all the champions right off the top of your head really quickly.
Royce Gracie.
Yeah. And now you're like, I don't know. Now there's interim champion. Like it seems like there's every other division has an interim champion right now.
Yeah.
But all right, let's keep moving.
So speaking of U.S. title, Juice Robinson and David Finlay against Yoshihatsu and Jay White of Chaos. I thought it was a pretty decent match. I kind of got a soft spot for Juice Robinson because I think he had so much potential when he was C.J. Parker in NXT, and now since he's in Japan now, when he first went to Japan, I think they didn't really utilize him that well, but they've been utilizing him pretty decently recently, and he actually got a pin over Jay White, so it looks like we'll get Juice and Jay White for the U.S. title coming up soon.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That's a big victory for him.
Yep.
I liked the two at NXT, but I didn't like his shtick. I liked what he could do in the ring.
Yeah, I thought his gimmick was limiting.
You know, it was, and you could tell the poor guy did his best with it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yep.
In the ring though, I just thought he was really good. I love Finley's kid.
David. Yeah.
Met that kid when I swear he couldn't have been more than 8 years old. He could have been 8 or 9. He was not like even a teenager when I met him.
Yeah.
And to see him, dude, he's so polished.
Oh yeah.
He had a great base, and now I can honestly say after watching again tonight, he's gotten so much better. You know, it's a good story. It's a good story of him. He went through the dojo. That's not easy. To be a gaijin and come up through their dojo, that is not easy at all.
Yeah.
But that's why they like what's his name so much, and I do too. Jay White.
Yeah. Jay White's cool. Yeah. He's got that low key look. You know,
look to the star. Yeah,
I think a few more years, a few more wrinkles, and he can be there.
And what's cool about now today, guys, about wrestling, says the 7-foot guy, by the way, is that everybody's shorter now.
Oh, so yeah.
It's more of an even playing field. True. So you can look at these guys, even though they're shorter, they could pull off looking like larger than life. Chris Jericho did it for years. When I met him in person, same with Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle, I was like, what the, and I was like, on TV, these guys look jacked. They look huge, especially Eddie and Benoit. Yeah. They look humongous. And then they didn't come up to my, like, I can't even see, but way below my chest. And, but that just goes to show you, you know what I mean? It's all about that character and how you carry yourself. And Jay White carries himself like a star.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. So Suzuki-gun, again, went against Chaos. The Zack Sabre Jr. and Minoru Suzuki against Toru Yano and Ishii. This match, this was for no title, but Suzuki won. Man, those slaps! I got excited just seeing Ishii and Suzuki just get in the ring. Period, and just talk about shoot style. Just let's one up each other on slaps, on forearm smashes. To me, that was fantastic, man. You could just tell that they could go.
This was one of my favorite matches.
I agree.
I love everybody in it, though. I'm a fan of all guys in it. So
yeah. Sabre gets the win over. He tapped out Yano, I believe. Yeah, he did like a Rings of Saturn type thing, made Yano tap out. So yeah, it was a really good match. Young Bucks has their second tag heavyweight tag team. I think they went against the Briscoes a couple years ago. What they're introducing is they moved up to the tag division, and this is their premier heavyweight tag team championship match. And they
the Briscoes were New Japan heavyweight tag team champions.
Yeah.
I watched that fight. I don't remember that.
It was a couple of years ago in 2016.
It wasn't ROH. No, I watched it. I remember it. It wasn't. They weren't ROH tag champions defending the champions on that card.
I don't think so. I'll look. I'll make sure of that. But I think it was Briscoes versus.
I remember the match. It was a great match.
Yeah, it was. It was a good match. So they beat Evil and Sonata.
Wasn't he in TNA with us?
Sonata was. Yep.
Sonata, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. He reminds me a lot of. He reminds me of a lot of Okada. You know what I mean? Like TNA just used them. Same thing as oh goodness, what's his name? Who was in the finals with Takahashi? Bone Soldier. Oh goodness, I'll find that out here in a minute. But just people TNA used it, just kind of as utility players for a little bit, and then they went to Japan, especially Okada. I think Scott D'Amore actually apologized to him recently because they misused him so bad. So,
but I know people give TNA crap for that, but WWE wouldn't have done any better with them back then.
Yeah. Well, they were. I don't even think WWE would have used them.
They wouldn't have even signed them.
Yeah.
Not
They would have done that.
So the Briscoes, they were IWGP Tag Team Champions once, and also the never open weight 6-man Tag Team Champions.
Okay, bro. There is too many titles. There's an open 6-man Tag Team Championship.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
But I was going to say this real quick, and I wrestle for New Japan. They do a buttload of 6 and 8-man tags.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All house shows, that's what you're doing. If you work from, I'd say, mid-card to main event, you're involved in a lot of 6-mans.
Yeah.
Ishimori, that's his name. Ishimori.
Oh, yeah. Ishimori.
They, New Japan is known for having so many stables, so they still now have the Chaos Bullet Club. Yeah, so
back to this match. This was a great match.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way the Bucks sold. I thought there was a couple times in there where there was a pile driver to the outside of the ring, like that's neck breaking type move.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how you come back and wrestle the rest of the match from something like that. And I'm the biggest marks on the planet for the Bucks. But there's certain things that were done tonight where you're like, like the dude did a great job selling his leg tonight. Great job selling his leg. For everybody says the Bucks can't sell, they were selling tonight. And then, but when it was in their comeback, they went to their finish. Maybe I missed it, but it looked like he stopped selling his leg there for right toward the end there before coming out the top ropes. And I thought it would have been, punch your leg, do something, you know what I mean? So the announcers could say like, oh, he's trying to make sure you're trying to get the blood pumped back into the, into the leg, into the muscle, whatever have you. The announcers will cover you,
Especially Kevin Kelly and Don Callis, because they do a fantastic job in commentary, I think.
Am I wrong for saying that they're probably the best announce team?
The best duo.
Yeah,
I would say
right. The best more than one announcer.
They're not annoying to listen to. Like every WWE announce team right now. Yeah, I agree with that, Matt.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would have not had the Bucks win it now. I would have probably gave it like one more time since they're just going into the heavyweight division. I would have spread it out just a little longer.
Any other tag teams that'll draw in that division?
Yeah, there's of course, Chaos and you have GOD, Tangaloa and Tamatanga.
It seems like the Bucks are really hot right now, and you don't want to miss that peak.
Yeah.
You want to get them at the right time, and it seems like the right time.
I was always surprised they hadn't already won these titles, to be honest.
Yeah,
they've been in the junior division for so long. I don't know. I would have gave it one more time. I can see why they did it. To me, it makes sense because All In's in 3 months, less than 3 months, so that maybe can have some type of All In.
How about the most popular act on that show, other than Kenny Omega and Okada?
Yeah, Okada. Naito's up there. I would say.
And that's in Japan, not around the world. I'm sorry, around the world.
Oh, internationally, no.
Young Bucks, no one touches them.
Yeah, it's Young Bucks, Cody, and Omega, for sure.
Yeah, internationally, yeah. So we missed the never open weight championship. Michael Elgin won it by beating Goto and Tai Chi. Elgin looked good. He lost 40 pounds. They built him at 238, and they built Tai Chi at 240. So he looked bigger than Tai Chi, but he looked good though. I mean, he lost 40 pounds. They said, and I'm to me, you know, these, and again, this never open weight championship. There's a lot of people in New Japan, and I think, you know, Elgin having this never title just kind of ups his stock a bit. So I think it was a good triple threat match. It's not like it's not like a WWE triple threat match where everybody try to get their spot, and that's what I did respect of. And I think all three of the competitors did a pretty good job, just really working with each other. Matt, what do you think?
I agree.
Raj?
I hadn't seen this. So I had a family commitment today, so I've only seen the top matches. So
top three. Yeah.
I'm hoping to watch the rest of the show tomorrow. Yeah.
So the 6-man match, I was a big fan of this just from a legendary standpoint. I've always been a Liger mark, to be honest with you, just from 25 years ago. And it's good to still see him just kind of helping the division. So it was Liger, Tanahashi, and Mysterio against Cody, Adam Page, and Marty Scurll. You know, I think this match was pretty good. I really liked it. It was one of those matches where it would have made sense for either side to win. I think the Bullet Club winning is like, hey, the Legends is putting us over, and I think Mysterio, Liger, and Tanahashi winning is saying, okay, well, these three legends is coming together, and they're just kind of like a elite group. Especially it was Rey Mysterio's first time, and so I think either way would have worked. Matt, what do you think as far as just
surprised they didn't give Rey Mysterio a win?
Yeah. This was one I saw, and I thought Mysterio looked good, but it's his first time in New Japan. It's just kind of thrown in the 6-man tag. Why not put him in a singles match with Liger? That's like a dream match, or
at least give him the win if you've got to put him in this match.
Yeah, that's
I can see
Cody pinning Liger.
Cody versus Ray, that would have been badass.
Yeah, I think they probably did that to expand. I can see Mysterio.
Oh, they've already worked. Wait a minute. They had a great angle, actually, if you remember.
WrestleMania. Yeah.
Back when Cody was wearing his face mask.
Yeah.
I love that, actually.
Rey Mysterio was the reason why Cody started wearing the mask, because he put the 619 on him. Yeah.
I just think it should have been a bigger deal, and Ray shouldn't have just been a part of this 6-man tag.
I felt like I should have known he was there, and I did not know he was there.
Yeah. It's kind of like the last minute. Oh, Rey Mysterio's in here, and he's going to be in with a bunch of people.
That's how it felt to me.
Yeah. I can see Mysterio come back and they do a singles match. They'll probably do something with him and Scurll or him and Page, perhaps. I can see Cody and Tanahashi, which I think that would be a fantastic match.
I'd like to see Mysterio and Will Ospreay.
Oh,
that'd be a good match too.
Yeah.
Speaking of Will Ospreay, go ahead, man.
Did he ever work Ricochet since he left WWE? Mysterio?
Probably like in the UK or something like that. I can see
that's one I would like to have seen too.
I know Mysterio worked AJ Styles in the UK. I don't know, Ricochet. Yeah, that would be awesome. Because Rey Mysterio, I mean, he can't do the stuff he did back in WCW, but he can go. You know, he's still a great worker. He can make a match.
Yeah.
Speaking of Ospreay, he lost the title to Takahashi. Takahashi won the Best of Super Juniors by beating Ishimori. That was a fantastic job. If anybody cares about Meltzer's stars, I think he gave it like 6 stars or something like that.
Did he really?
But I think it was like the first junior match that ever got like 6 stars.
I thought only Kenny Omega is the first person to ever get 6 stars. Period.
Yeah, there's been like 5 after that. So
what?
Yeah.
What is he doing?
So now it's not even like 4 stars sucks.
Yeah,
right.
5 stars not even great. It's a B now.
Right. Yeah, I think it was like 5.5 or 6 stars or something like that. But I think it was
tonight's match.
No, the Ishimori
and
the Super Takahashi,
or whatever.
The Super Juniors match. Yeah. So yeah, it was a really, really good match though. I don't know if I'd give it 5 or 6 stars, but it was fantastic. So Takahashi, the momentum that he got from that, he ended up beating Ospreay. I think this was one of the best matches on the card. Man, it's just I love watching New Japan, but sometimes I just wish they protected each other a lot better. I mean, just
sometimes
I guess I'm being generous.
They murder each other.
Yeah. Real quick,
I'll talk more about that with the Omega match, but that drives me crazy sometimes when they almost kill somebody and then the next move they counter it.
Yeah. There was on the Super Juniors final match, there was a butterfly pile driver that Takahashi did on the Ishimori. No protection at all. I mean, he landed right like Ishimori tried to turn his head to the side to break the brunt a little bit, but it still was no protection to it. So it was.
You're not even in a position to turn your head any which way.
Right.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah. Real quick, Rey Mysterio did go against Ricochet in England and UK.
Okay. And they're saying against Ricochet and Lucha Underground is Prince Puma. Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, that's right. Because they did have like a mentor-mentee type of angle going on. That's right. I interviewed Ricochet on my show around that time. So, yeah. Yeah. So that I think that was a pretty good match. And then, of course, we talked about Jericho Naito. One thing I do want to bring up is that I think that Jericho. You could tell that there was some language lag when it came to the cues, because Naito tried to do the Destino a couple of times, and Chris Jericho was like he was in the wrong position, and they just kind of changed it into like punching each other, and then like the third time later he did the Destino, or he tried to do the Destino. So, and it was one time he had him in the walls, and he kept tapping his leg for him to go do the whole go into the ropes thing. Yeah. So there was a couple language lags there that I noticed.
This was great though. Like Naito came out in his suit and Jericho attacked him before the match started, put him in through a table to start the match, or right before the match, and a DDT on the table. The table didn't break. Looked nasty.
Yeah.
And Jericho just basically kicked the shit out of him for like 10 minutes and
power bombed him on the table.
Yeah. And then finally Naito was able to take over, got to take off his suit, and he had, and they brawled a lot on the outside. A lot of this match was outside the ring.
What I've always wondered, even when I wrestled there, and I never asked somebody because I never had to go through a table in New Japan, but one of the things I always wanted to ask was, why do they have why are the Japanese tables there? Like they're so thick. First of all, to go through one of those tables, guys, it's like going through oak. It would kill. All right. And two, they're super narrow. They're narrow and they're really thick.
I noticed that.
I wonder, is that hard to get like one of our tables, like to get our tables there? Because I'm telling you, these guys would be a lot easier on them. I mean,
I wonder if it's because of the spacing.
Most of the time they don't break. And then that's part of the shtick. Like they're not trying to break it most of those times. You see those guys get pile drivers on the table? It's known not to break on purpose. Like when you give them that move on the table, it's because you don't plan on it breaking, quite frankly, like they do here. And so when he went to a power bomb through that, Chris had to set it up that way in order for it to break. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult. It doesn't happen more times than not. Breaking it because it's so thick. It's just another risk.
Yeah, after that first table spot, they did like 3 in this match, because then there was also one where Naito hit Jericho with a pile driver on the outside, and it didn't break on any of those other attempts.
Yeah,
he took good care of him on the pile driver. I watched it in slow-mo.
Yep. I noticed that too. Yeah, I think it was good. I liked Kevin. Well, Kevin Kelly said that it wasn't for the championship one time, and I was like, "What?" Like I thought it was good for the title.
Yeah.
and so when he won, I'm glad that they did that. And this is cool too, because obviously Jericho's going to put Naito over. Well, it seems like they may do something with Jericho and Evil though, because Evil he did the save. So they may do Jericho Evil and then Jericho Naito again. So,
they need a big match for the Cow Palace. I think you do Jericho and Omega again, champion versus champion.
That'd be good.
Big draw.
Yeah, so the end of the match, Jericho shoved Red Shoes, low blow Naito, and hit the code breaker for the win. It wasn't overly contrived or anything, which I liked. Kind of basic finish. It's not over telegraphed, and
it works.
Jericho winning the. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
It works huge here because everyone else, and one of the reasons I do like New Japan so much, I do like the millions of false finishes. I just do. Yeah. I know a lot of former wrestlers here in the States don't like them as much. We're not selling each other's finishes much. F all that. I love the false finishes in New Japan. And I like them when they're bang, 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 bang a lot of the time. I just do. A lot of the time.
Agree.
You know,
it gets the crowd going, too.
It's really athletic. It's at the end of the match. It's super impressive to me the guys can do it. And I bite. I am hook, line, and sinker on a lot of those falsies. And so when you put a Jericho in there, and he's mule kicking the dude in the nuts when they're throwing the ref down and then hitting his finish, it's so different than anything else on that card. Yeah. It stands out even more. That's why that's why he's a genius.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Matt.
But Matt, you liked his look? You liked Jericho's look?
It was different.
Yeah.
That's all I needed. His body was a little, he's not ready.
No, I meant
he shouldn't have abs in the moment.
Yeah, I meant the Clockwork Orange crow thing that he had.
It was different.
Yeah, I just feel like a star as big as Jericho, it's almost he doesn't need to be going that far, to change his look. He's too big of a star. I just feel like he's above that.
I can see that. But you know what's crazy is I wanted Chris to change his character, his look.
Yeah.
And then he finally did when he trimmed his hair and came out with the suit, and he was just a different character. He played the first really good heel that he was really dialed in on. If you guys remember.
Yeah, with the troglodytes and sycophants.
Yes, in a very monotone voice.
Right.
Yes.
He refused to have merch made.
Right.
I still think that's his best work, which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
Because
he's so good.
Real quick on the false finishes, man. I agree with you if it's a part of the story. Now, I think with New Japan matches, they know how, like, a lot of the matches know how to create stories. Like in WWE, I'm not a fan of it because it's just a bunch of high spots just because it has no rhyme or reason with it. But in New Japan, I appreciate the false finishes because New Japan is more about building or creating stories in the ring. And that's why matches are a lot longer. And that's why I love the false finishes with Omega and Okada. I mean, just it seems like they would have to do Okada probably have to do like 4 or 5 rainmakers, with Omega just to have them win. But what do you got? Go ahead, Raj.
That stuff started to drive me crazy after a while.
Really?
Because we'll get to it. Should we go to that match next? So yeah, Jericho won the IWGP Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah. Omega beat Okada and 2-1. They had a best of 3. Omega won the first fall. And
Okada won the first fall.
I'm sorry, Okada won the first fall, and then Omega won the 2 straight, both with One Winged Angel. So it went over an hour. So this is their longest match because the draw was the 60-minute draw. I think this is like an hour and 5 minutes or somewhere close to it or something like that. So I'm sure Meltzer would give this probably 7 stars. And so what do you think, man?
Great match. I still liked. I liked the first match better.
Huh.
I liked the first time that they matched up better. Maybe because the standard's been set so high. I don't know. I don't know why I think that. I just know I felt that. At the end of that match, I was excited for Kenny. They told a great story out there. I just liked the first match better. Everything about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like with movies. The original, you kind of always have a soft spot for it too. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I do think.
I agree with you, Matt. I agree with you, Matt. I think the first match was the best one. I would put this second.
Yeah, better. You like this better than the second match?
Yeah, I liked probably because probably because Okada's one of my favorite wrestlers right now. He's in my top 3, and Omega won the second match. So, well, it was a tie. It was, and then Omega won at the G1 last August. Right. So yeah, the time limit draw was pretty good, and I can understand why they did it, just to kind of extend the feud. But yeah, overall, I think this was a fantastic match. I mean, definitely nothing away from the fact that this was a really, really good match. But to me, I think that there was just some things with the first match. It wasn't an hour. I think it was like 45 minutes or something like that. I think the story was, I think they told the story in the ring a little better. And then I think it kind of spoils us when we kind of see the same match in the same kind of formula with Omega versus Okada. Nothing really different happened. It was still kind of like, can he hit the one wing angel? Is he going to kick out the one wing angel? He's ducking this particular rainmaker. He's countering this. So I mean, it's kind of like the same. It was kind of like the same template. It was good, but I think the template worked the best on the first match, if that may make sense, rather than the fourth match. So that's how I feel about it. It was a good match, but wasn't their best.
So for me, this was actually my favorite of theirs. I liked it. I love the first one too. I like the second one a lot, but not having the finish, I know why they did it, but I like this one the best. But the thing that will drive me crazy, and this is just being over analytical, but they're doing these crazy moves, the jumping tombstone. Yeah. And then he gets up, and then right then Omega counters and hits something else. They do that over and over. Okada hits a big move, gets Omega up, goes for something, Omega counters. Omega kills him with he must have hit like 20 V triggers in this match.
Yeah.
And then he'll get him up, and then right away Okada counters. So it's it's that it's just like, well, then that last move wasn't that devastating if right away you have your wits about you to be able to do this, gigantic move right after. And I wish they'd slow that part down a little bit, because when a jumping tombstone, they hit a tombstone on the apron, all these crazy moves, and then Omega will counter with Nuranagi right after.
What about the rocket launcher drop kick to the outside that Omega ate the guardrail with?
Right, yeah.
Oh my God, my ribs broke watching that.
Yeah. So, and it's like, I think if you showed this match to someone who never watches pro wrestling, they would be like, oh, it's so fake because he just gets up right after. And they,
That's a good argument.
Whereas
that is a good argument for that. Think about it. Someone who's never watched wrestling before is watching this.
Like, oh, that couldn't have hurt. He just gets up right after. When you can tell they're killing each other. And if they made those moves mean more, like, stay on the ground longer or use your foot on the ropes instead of just kicking out.
True.
They do a really good job of reversing. When you're talking, let me ask you a question. When you keep saying that you like the stories that they tell with the false finishes, what do you mean by that?
Me?
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, it's different than just doing it for the sake of just having a spot. I think a lot of times in the WWE, they'll do the false finish and then they'll just kick out, and it has nothing to do with drawing with just kind of narrating the rest of the match. With Okada and Omega, I think they create a story because Omega had those rainmakers, and one thing that I noticed toward the end of the match is when they both were on their knees and they were giving each other like forearm shots, and they were so soft, and they didn't it didn't matter, like it was so just kind of bland and soft, you know what I mean? And I think it's like, man, I'm spent, you know what I mean? And just that type of psychology, you know what I mean? Like, I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it, because the psychology is, I've ate all these rainmakers, I've ate all these V triggers, I am spent, and so I'm going to try to give you a forearm smash now, and it's not going to have as much impact, because the psychology is that I'm literally giving you my all, and doing everything that I can do. And at the end of this match, we're both laid out on the ring, and that's what happened. They both were just kind of laid out in the ring, and I think that helps the psychology of the match.
Because, as we say, those aren't false finishes now. That's just selling.
Yeah.
False finishes, you obviously, everybody knows, you know, is they go to like 12 of them, 15, 20 of them.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, to me, they're believable as hell. You know,
and I still think it goes into the fact of I am literally giving you my all right now. And, you know, if you're kicking out of
if you want to say a good story, all right, into the false finishes, it's because they specifically do a good job of reversing out of said false finish.
Right.
That's coming, like ducking the Rainmaker at the last second because he's got it scouted, and then goes to hit the one wing angle. But no, he's got that shit scouted. He hits him with. It's like that, and they got you. They just hook me. I like it a lot. I do. I like the style. And I know that's selling, guys. And let me be clear. I know a lot of the times there's some selling that needs to happen here, and it's not. Maybe it's the athlete in me that's going, holy crap, I could never do that. Maybe that's why I like this so much, because this is athletic as hell.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I'm saying. That's the difference between the WWE and New Japan, because you're using the false finishes to add to the story of the match as opposed to just
I don't really get that point. I feel like they do it in both companies. How is it?
You're right. No, Roger's right on that. He's right. Every one of us finishes is to draw people.
It's always to get you sucked into the match. I mean, that's
yes, and
that's why it's done.
And
hold on. Let me. I guess I should clarify what I'm saying. Okay. So when I see the false finishes in Japan, I see it's adding to the match as opposed to simply sucking people in for that moment, if that makes sense. Like when WWE, when they do their false finish, I don't see, like when I watch WWE, now I'm a WWE lifer, don't get me wrong. When I watch WWE matches, I don't see
AJ Styles. I'm talking about. I'm not talking about like mid-card Jabron versus Jabron, where he body slams the guy and covers him. Yeah, that don't count.
Yeah. When I see WWE matches nowadays, I see what I perceive a WWE match, a good WWE match, is the false finish. It's simply to draw people into that moment and get them out the edge of their seat on the count of two, which is good.
When do you think the match is over?
Right, and I agree with that, but I think New Japan adds another layer to it when it's
because they do more. Is my two cents.
Yeah, right. They add another layer to it because it's like I'm giving you my all. I am physically spent by the time I'm done with this match.
You're talking about this one match. That's not every match.
I'm not because we've seen four of these same matches, and they do the same thing each time. And I've seen matches, that AJ Styles. Watch the AJ Styles Okada match at Dominion a couple years ago. I mean, that's.
And I know a lot of American wrestlers don't like. They say there's no selling involved because they're hitting like each other with 55 finishers that you just shouldn't be getting kicked. You should be being able to kick out of, I should say. And I used to be that guy too, but now that the business has changed, it's faster, it's more athletic. I'm telling you right now, it was watching Kenny Omega matches and Young Buck matches that have kind of got me. I like it. I just do. And I know, like, psychologically, what I was trained and taught on, I shouldn't. I should be against that. Everything should mean something. And, we're throwing pile drivers on the outside of the apron. So, like, that the dude gets up 2 seconds later, nips up, and he's perfectly fine. So, like, I should not like that by product, you know what I mean? But I can't lie. I'm entertained by it.
Yeah, no, it was like I said, just watching it as a wrestling fan. It was a great match. It was my favorite of them. I loved it. I just think that again, these guys are killing each other. These moves look like they kill, so act like they kill.
I don't know how they shoot down. Like Omega when the guardrail, I was like, dude, he's done. He's done.
Dude, that V trigger. I mean, this was the one that finally won the match. The last V trigger he hit before the One Winged Angel looked like that was the nastiest V trigger I think I've ever seen that he hit on Okada. I mean, that's such a nasty looking move. and to just get up and then hit a counter right after that. I just think, because Matt, you know this, like so many people that don't watch wrestling think there's all these tricks, like the steel chairs are fake, the tables are all like they're cut pre-cracked. So they would think like the knee to the face is just worked, like it's not, you're not really hitting, or they got a knee pad, they assume all these crazy things, and so when you see that and then someone just gets right up, it just,
you play towards that.
Yeah,
you're right. If you're Joe Blow, the average person never watches wrestling, but we do watch wrestling,
right? So but like even to us, if you hit a big tombstone, you should be out for a little bit. We've been taught that tombstone's a killer move.
Let me.
But we should be wrapping up here, guys. It's getting late.
Let me ask this question real quick before we wrap up. So if you're in because I used to train MMA, and so I wonder if you're like in a shoot fight, right? And someone hits you with like the craziest forearm smash, and you have so much adrenaline that you kind of stumble a little bit, you get down, and you get right back up and nail them with the forearm smash. Like, what would be the difference with that?
But if you do it 30 times, you have that
moment of adrenaline. You have that moment of adrenaline.
One time is one thing. But when you're doing it 30 times the whole match.
And here's the difference. MMA, a simple jab right on the right button. Every one of us got a button on us, right? Could knock your ass out. And it's weak looking and small looking and not very big and impressive. Whereas a tombstone pile driver, a power bomb, soup, whatever, these are big and impressive moves. So wrestling, we built this lore: the bigger the move, the more the guy should sell.
Gotcha.
I guess, I don't know. That's a good question, though. Actually.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, it's late. Matt, Chris, you're on the East Coast too, right?
Good night.
Yes.
Yeah, well, thanks for sticking with us, guys, and thanks for everyone listening. We got a bunch of viewers, so thank you, guys.
Really?
Yeah, it's
you guys all stayed up. You guys are crazy.
Well, some of them might be on the West Coast, but thanks a lot, guys. We'll be back Monday after Raw, and we'll talk more. People ask about Reigns and Lesnar. We'll talk more about that on Monday. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us.
Is people asking if Glenn was at Grease 2, the musical?
There haven't been any questions about that. All right, guys. Good night. See you Monday.